ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, my dear friend. This is video number 14 on the Divine Discourses of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba for the devotees pursuing their sadhana for self-realization leading to liberation. This video starts with discourse number 24. Live in truth and love. The moon illumines the night. The sun illumines the whole world during the day. But dharma, righteousness, illumines the three worlds. A virtuous son sanctifies his family, but not his family alone. His good character shines as an example to the world. To recognize the inherent divinity in man and lead a sanctified life is the essence of human existence. The body, the mind, and the ahankara, ego, together constitute the human entity. Action, being, and knowing are the three basic aspects of human life. These three together manifest the human state. It is the Atma principle that reveals both the differences and the unity of these three aspects. It reveals the uniqueness as well as the divinity of the human existence. Man has to realize that the body and the mind are the expressions of the divine Atma. The mind has four levels of functioning: manas, the mental; buddhi, the intelligence; chitta, the will; and the ahankara, the ego. Although it is the body that performs the actions, it is the mind that organizes, and the reality is the Atma. There is a power that encompasses all the three. At the level of thoughts and doubts, the mind is said to function. At the level of discrimination, the buddhi, intellect functions. The intellect indicates what is right and wrong. This is also an aspect of the mind. Constant thinking is the function of the chitta, the will. Then there is the Atma. It is all-pervading. The ego, the I, arises from the Atma. All the four are different forms of the mind. The different terms indicate the different functions. Vedanta has declared that mind is the cause of either bondage or liberation. Prajna is Brahma. There is a master who presides over these four expressions of the mind. That is known as prajna. Prajna is often equated with the intellect, the intelligence, the knowledge or wisdom, but this is not correct. These latter qualities are transient and impermanent, but prajna is not impermanent. Vedanta has declared that prajna shines in the body, the mind, and the Atma, the individual soul. Prajnam Brahma, declares the Upanishad. Supreme consciousness is divinity. There is no difference between prajna and Brahma or truth. Prajna is described as constant integrated awareness. This prajna is present in all human beings. How can a man who has not understood his own true human nature understand divinity? The first stage for man to realize is that he is no ordinary being. There are in man Satya, truth, Jnana, wisdom, and Anantam, the infinity. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. The ancient sages declared thus the attributes of Brahma. The truth referred to here is not about worldly facts. It refers to transcendent truth which remains the same at all times and in all places. The presence of these three in man has to be recognized. Only then will his life get sanctified. Then the distinction between mine and thine ceases. It becomes possible to lead a life based on truth. Land of three avatars of Vishnu. Emperor Bali's life illustrates this truth. Kerala is a region which is hallowed by the advent of three avatars of Vishnu, Narasimha, Vamana and Parsuram. Siddhasramam is a sacred place in Kerala. Because of its location there, Kerala enjoyed supreme peace in olden days. During the reign of Bali, the grandson of Prahlada, the people enjoyed peace and plenty. They were free from disease and poverty. Keralites were known for their hospitality. They gave freely with joy whatever anyone sought from them. The Lord assumed the Vamana form to test the greatness of Bali. Vamana was received with due ceremony and asked what he wanted. The young lad asked for 3 feet of land to be measured by his feet. Bali asked him why he asked for such a trivial thing. He could have asked for greater things. At that time, Bali's guru, Sukracharya, warned him that the young dwarf was none other than Vishnu and that if he did not go back on his promise he would lose everything. But Bali did not heed his guru's words. He was not prepared to go back on his promise, even if it meant the complete loss of his kingdom and the life itself. Bali told his guru that there can be nothing greater than making a gift to the Lord of the universe when he came as a supplicant searching for his hand for a gift. Such was the greatness of Bali, because of whom Kerala enjoyed the bounties of nature. Kerala is a land of beauty, with its palm trees, plantain orchard, and dense forest. There is a saying, beauty is bliss. Bliss is the nectar of life. Bali's life should be an example. Kerala, a small state, has achieved permanent greatness as the place associated with the three avatars. Hence, the heart of every person should be filled with the consciousness of God. Today, because of political rivalries, moral values, and spiritual pursuits have declined. It is all the more heartening to note that despite this decline, Onam is celebrated as a national festival by everyone in Kerala from the distant past to the present time. Bali's example should inspire Keralites to adhere to truth and practice love of all human beings. Onam should be celebrated not by feast and festivities but by practicing the ideals exemplified by Emperor Bali. Discourse at Puran Chandra Auditorium, 26th August 1988. Devotion to one's motherland is as important as devotion to God. Honesty and integrity are essential for the bright future of the individual. Likewise, national character and patriotism are necessary for the welfare of the country. When integrity and patriotism are developed in an individual, his vision becomes broad and his outlook balanced. Discourse number 25. Role of the avatar. Marvelous are the beauties presented by nature. They are sacred as well as wondrous. What nature promotes or destroys, what, what it bestows or takes away are equally amazing. It is not easy to understand these marvels. Man is born in this world but does not realize the purpose of his birth. Forgetting this purpose, he regards himself as the master of nature and in his insane conceit forgets his own divinity. He is unable to recognize that it is nature that provides or takes away, that blesses or punishes, that nature's sway is extensive. Nature presides over every aspect of life. In his deep involvement with mundane concerns, man tends to forget his divinity and what he owes to nature. All things in creation are equal in the eyes of God. God is immanent in all of them. Hence, God and nature should not be regarded as distinct entities. They are inseparably interrelated like the object and its image. Man, however, looking at nature externally, considers it as purely physical and intended to provide the amenities he seeks. Nature is the best teacher for man. Every object, every individual is offering lessons of various kinds to man every moment. This truth was recognized by Bharatiyas from the earliest times. It is the primary characteristics of the sacred Bharatiya culture. From a stone to a diamond, from an ant to an elephant, from a simpleton to a sage, everything and every being in Bharat was regarded as manifestation of the divine. Every object was considered worthy of worship. That was why they sanctified a stone image and worshipped it. Divine love should be extended to all beings. Bharat is the land in which the tender tulsi plant and the giant banyan tree were worshipped with equal devotion. Cows, horses, elephants, and other animals were treated as sacred objects of worship. Every ants were considered worthy of care and protection, and rice flour or sugar was offered to them every day. Crows and eagles, dogs and monkeys were deemed worthy of worship. Not realizing the deeper truth underlying this attitude to various objects in creation, Ignora Muses chose to regard this worship as a silly superstition. This is wholly wrong. Bharat considered that the expression of divine love should not be confined to human beings but should be extended to all beings. This is the great ideal that Bharat has held out to the world. The profound secret of this knowledge and understanding has not been grasped by any country. Bharat is the land which has upheld this sacred spiritual truth and adhered to this vision of the divine, the sacred aspect of Indian culture. The Gita has declared Advaita Sarvabhutanam, bear no ill will towards any living being. Hatred towards anyone is hatred for God. The scriptures have also declared Sarvajiva namaskaram kesavam pratigachati. The salutation that you offer to everyone reaches the divine. Few outsiders can understand or appreciate the sacred aspect of Indian culture. Even many Indians do not realize the purity and divinity which characterize Bharatiya culture. Bharata has always proclaimed that despite variations in names and forms, there is unity that underlies the diversity in creation. Because nature is a reflection of the divine, its laws cannot be transgressed by anyone. Man who has taken birth to realize his own true nature instead of seeking to understand the truth about the cosmos is lost in the pursuit of material possessions. He does not realize that the human body, made up of five basic elements, is bound to perish. This temporary perishable body should be regarded only as a means for realizing the eternal reality. The body should be considered as an iron safe in which the precious jewels of good qualities and good actions are kept. It is these qualities that should be cherished. If today the state of the world appears deplorable, it is because man's actions and conduct are not good. Man should return to the ways of righteousness and lead a good and godly life. Human birth is the result of karma. God is not a separate entity. Man is the image of God. Devam Manusharupena. God appears in human form. Declare the scriptures. God has no separate form. It is to show to humanity how human lives can be divinized that avatars come from time to time. I have often declared that God does not come down as avatar to relieve individuals of their troubles and sorrow and to confer joy and happiness on them. Difficulties, troubles, and worries come in the natural course as a consequence of past actions. The Gita says, Karmanubandhini Manasya Loke. Human beings are bound by karmas in the world. As human birth is the result of karma, there can be no escape from the consequences of karma. As is your action, so is the reaction to it. When you stand before a mirror and offer salutation before the mirror, the salutation is reflected by the image. If you address harsh words to the mirror, the harshness is reflected by the im- im- image in the same manner. It will be evident from this example that the fruits of our actions are determined by the nature of those actions. Bhartiyas have held fast to these beliefs. The law of karma, the concept of avatars, and the doctrine of rebirth. The law of karma means that there is no escape from the consequences of your actions. The karma doctrine lays down that one has to experience the result of his actions. The concept of the concept of avatar implies faith in God and in the divinity inherent in man. Man does not merely mean the human form. Man is distinguished from other animals and creature by his capacity to judge what is permanent and what is transient and his ability to recognize the past, the present and the future. Man alone has the capacity to comprehend this threefold nature of time. Man can ruminate over the past and speculate about the future. He can experience the present. However, man should not worry about what is past. The present is the product of the past. What has happened is beyond recall. It is futile to worry about the future because it is uncertain. Concern yourself only with the present. By present, we may be thinking only of this moment, but this is not the present as divinity sees it. For the divine present is what is omnipresent. No thought of my future. This means that both the past and the future are present in what is because it is the result of past, the seed of the future. Because man has no firm faith in the omnipresence of the divine, he worries himself about the past, the present, and the future. For the divine, these three categories of time do not exist. The question has arisen in the minds of some devotees. As Swami is aware of what will happen in the future, should he not have anticipated and avoided the sleep in the bathroom? I know all about the future, but I think only of the future of others and not of my future. You must note this fact carefully. Kartavayam yogam uchyate. Doing your duty is yoga. I think only of what I have to do at any particular moment. Some things might happen, they come and go. Happenings in the world are like passing clouds. These incidents give rise to certain experiences. Students should take note of these experiences. The purpose of avatar, when the divine comes down as avatar, whether it be as Rama or as Krishna, Matsya, fish, Varaha, boar or Vamana, dwarf, it is only for one purpose. You recognize only the momentary results of the advent, but you should note that the divine comes as avatar only to teach mankind the truth about love. O man, it is because you lack love and are filled with selfishness that the world is plunging in so much conflict and chaos. It is only when you develop love and the spirit of sacrifice that you will realize the divinity that is in the human. The man who has no spirit of tyaga, sacrifice, will be a prey to all ills. A man without love is a living corpse. It is love and sacrifice which make man divine. Love alone is the fruit of love. Love is its own witness. There is no trace of self-interest in it. Because love exists for its own sake, it has no fear. It is to teach humanity the way of love that avatars come in the world. The world displays the diversity that has emanated from the One. The Divine demonstrates the unity that subsumes the diversity. Recognition of this unity in diversity can be learnt only from the Divine. The Krishna avatar has been described in various ways as a sport of the divine in human form, as an ideal for the world, as a sacred ruler, as a manifestation of the Atma. The divine comes as avatar to proclaim the pure, unsullied, and disinterested love of devotees towards God. People may consider that the avatar's activities include punishment of the wicked, protection of the good, weeding out of unrighteousness, and restoration of righteousness. This is how they may look at the avatar's doing, but that is not the way that the Lord sees things. There is nothing bad in God's view, hence there should be no hatred or ill will towards any being. It is only when you love all that you can be said to love God. Think of the divine at all times. The devotee's feeling determines his concept of God. When a devotee prays, O Lord, don't you see my sufferings? Don't you hear my lamentations? Can't you see the troubles I am going through? The Lord appeared to him only as a pair of eyes. The full form of the Lord will not appear to him. The state of mind of spiritual aspirants today is like this. When they are in meditation, they appear like yogis. After the meditation is over, they return to their daily activities and are immersed in mundane pleasures. This is not the way of life preached by Krishna. He declared, Satatam Yogina, be yogis at all times. What we witness today is yogis in the morning, bhogis, Epicureans during the day and yogis at night. How can such persons ever remain yogis at all times? You have to think of the divine at all times in all situations, in whatever you see, do, say, or experience. To pray to God when you are comfortable and to blame God when you are in trouble reflects your selfish and narrow outlook. You cannot know what may happen at any time, in any situation. What is bound to happen cannot be prevented. Hence, you must regard anything that happens as a gift from God. It is only when you develop such faith and love for God that true spirituality can grow. You should not allow worldly attachments to multiply without limit. Attachment only to the divine, which transcends all other attachments, is permanent. Wherever you go, whatever you see, develop the sacred feeling that only what pleases God delights you. The body is only an instrument. It is the divine that animates it and makes it move about and experience things. Those who cannot recognize this truth go about proclaiming that they are devotees, that they are close to God and have renounced all attachment. The Gopika's devotion. Sri Krishna once enacted a small drama to demonstrate how the devotion of the illiterate cow herdesses of Vrindavan was deeper and fuller than that of Rukmini or Satyabhama or the sage Narada. He pretended that he was suffering from a severe headache and that only the application of the dust from the feet of a devotee would cure him. Neither Rukmani or Satyabhama nor Narada were willing to offer the dust from their feet, as they felt that they would be condemned to live in hell if they allowed the dust of their feet to pollute the divine head of Krishna. When Narada approached the Gopikas, they had no hesitation in collecting the dust of their feet, because their only concern was to relieve their beloved Krishna of his pain instantly without caring about what happened to them as a consequence. Even though they were warned by Narada about the dire consequences of their action, they told him that they were not concerned about the worst that might happen to them and only their Krishna would be relieved of pain. The ways of the divine. Krishna's pain was gone the moment the Gopika offered the dust of their feet. Narada realized that the totality unselfish devotion exhibited by the Gopikas was Parama Bhakti, the highest form of devotion. The divine exists in everything, in every being, in every foot, as well as in the dust of the foot. He is also in the one whom you may consider as a thief. The troubles besetting the world today cannot be removed except through the promotion of unity. The unity can be promoted only through love. There is nothing that cannot be accomplished through love. Love is God, God is love. Live in love. Here is an illustration on how love works. For the past 15 days I could not move about without feeling a shock. Today when I came out and saw the happy faces of the devotees, I was filled with joy and forgot the state of my body altogether. This is how the divine works to experience your love and fill you with love in return. There can be no joy where there is no love. The Gopikas were filled with such love that they saw Krishna in all that they did. Fill your hearts with love. When you fill your hearts with love, you have no ill will towards anyone. Cultivate the faith that the divine is in everyone. Surrender to the divine in a spirit of dedication. The symbolic meaning in the relation between Krishna and the Gopikas is this: the heart is the Vrindavan in each person. One's thoughts are like the Gopikas. The Atma is Krishna. Bliss is the sport of Krishna. Everyone must convert his heart into a Vrindavan and consider the indwelling Atma as Krishna. Every action should be regarded as a Leela of Krishna. Gokulashtami is celebrated by offering to Krishna Pramanam, rice cooked with jaggery. The real meaning of Pramanam is Annam, food, relating to Param, supreme. Pramanam is sweet. Your love must be sweet. What you offer to God must be your sweet love. Your love must be all embracing. This is the foremost message of the avatar. Discourse in the Prashanti Mandir on Gokulashtami, day 3, August 1988. So this video is completed. Thank you for watching this video. Next video number 15 will start with the Divine Discourse number 26. Devotion is the panacea. Namaskar.